Hey guys, welcome back. It is time to talk about the trimmed Charizard. It is trimmed in my opinion. This video is my opinion. They're all my opinion. You guys know that, but you can pause this and read it if you need to. Regardless, we're going to be talking now. We're going to be talking more about this. We're going to be discovering who allegedly submit this bad boy for grading. Who could have done it? Spoiler alert, it may or may not be some sports card people. And not just any sports card people, some sports card people that are allegedly associated with a lot of card trimming. Wow. Who would have thought that they would sneak some Pokemon and or Magic cards in there? And Garbage Pail. Don't forget the Garbage Pail, kids. If you haven't seen it, if you haven't seen the last video on this, we got this video right here. You can watch that beforehand. You can watch it after. Do what you gotta do. But we got more information on that already. Now, thank you to M&T Training on Twitter, who noticed the fact that this bad boy sold for $168,000 since that last sale. This is a super recent boy, a few days ago, and this is a sigh of relief for PSA, who will potentially save $72,000 because they won't have to pay out the $240,000 it previously sold for. This is an absolute nightmare. I can't imagine being in a position that if you sell something at a loss and the whole time, you could have sent it to PSA potentially. You could have got that refund. How many people have held this bad boy, have held these cards, are still holding these cards? And that's why a lot of this stuff is important. I know a lot of people like to say, oh, Rattle, it's just a drama. Why are you going to hurt the hobby? It's telling everyone that this is bad and all the bad people. Well, guess what? It's better if we open up the curtains and we let the sunlight in. If there are people that are doing bad stuff, it's important that we highlight the people doing bad stuff. It's important that people are able to talk about the people doing bad stuff. I shouldn't have to explain that to anyone. This Charizard, again, in my opinion, and the opinion of many others, thank you to Shadowless Altart for this nice little overlay that shows that this is not the correct size for a Pokemon card. Now, PSA should have caught it at the time. They did not catch it at the time, but this bad boy is almost certainly altered. And by altered, I mean trimmed. So there's a few people in the previous video that were like, Rattle, what's the big deal? What's going on here? Why would someone cut the bottom of a card off? Well, if there's damage on that bottom of the card and they want it to appear as though it is nicer than it actually is, if there's some whitening, if there's a chip, if there's a little dent, whatever it might be, if they lop off that bottom part of the card there, other than the fact that it is no longer the correct size, you can hide that damage because the damage is not there anymore. It's gone. It's on the little slip, the little sliver of card that was removed, and voila, all of a sudden gets a 10. Maybe it would have got a 9 before. Maybe it would have got an 8. Maybe if they submit it 43,000 times, they'd end up with a 10 eventually. Regardless, this is fraud. I shouldn't have to explain that it's fraud. It's for monetary gain, and it's deceptive. For anyone that isn't familiar with sports cards, Pokemon cards, anything of the sort, if something is altered, if somebody adds ink to it, if someone chops off part of it, if someone presses it, if they do anything crazy, anything that's altering, anything that's adding or removing material from a card, polish, yes, polish counts. That is altering. That is fraud. You're selling something, and if you're giving the impression or not disclosing the fact that it was altered, that's fraud. There's a huge difference in value between this being a 10 or a 9. And people will. They're going to game the grading companies. The grading company makes a mistake. They're supposed to be there to protect you, to show you how authentic it is, to show you how not altered this thing was. But they failed. And yes, the scammers, the wiener baby extremes, they're going to push this stuff through the grading companies in order to lend more authenticity to it. And they're going to say, oh, it's not my fault. It's not my fault at this point. They graded it. Well, we got a juicy trail. So thank you to Shadowless Altart for the overlays. Thank you to Kiki Jiki from the Discord for this beautiful CAD overlay here. I mean, we can already kind of tell that the card is not long enough just by seeing where it sits in the case. But this also demonstrates the fact that, I mean, visibly you can see that the left-hand side is shorter than the right-hand side. This just kind of lends to that. Again, this is all stuff that should have been done in person. This is stuff that the grading company should have done. Regardless, Now, let's get to the juicy stuff. Now that we got that out of the way, it's fraud. Do not alter cards. It's fraud. It's fraudulent behavior. It is fraud. That's not even my opinion. That's kind of like the definition. Look up the definition of fraud. So, thank you very much to everyone who helped me find out where the trimmed Charizard came from. Yes, we're going to be looking at that today. It took a couple days and some very much appreciated help from the guys on Blowout, BODA, B-O-D-A, the Blowout Detective Agency, if you will. Thanks to Auburn35, 312. This is, I mean, the Blowout stuff that we're looking at. The guys that I got assistance from. These guys are amazing. These guys are going out of their own way to publish content on a forum or like me in videos. You have people like Sports Card Radio that are going to speak about these bad actors, put themselves on the line. So you should appreciate it. Not just me, but everyone else that makes videos and speaks out about bad actors, prevents people from getting scammed. Stuff like the Logan Paul case, the case that was going to be on Liquid Marketplace. People would have been buying fractional shares of fucking G.I. Joe cards. Come on, spreading the fuck up. It's in everyone's best interest that this stuff can be out in the open. You know it. I know it. Whether or not people want to talk about it is a different story. In a post, in a video. Remember who they are. Maybe it'll be safe later. Everyone was fucking crazy excited. Oh, Blake is scamming people. Blake is scamming people. I love it. Yeah, fuck Blake. Pile on. Pile on when it's easy. Pile on when there's no threat. Is it not better? Is it not better that Blake was exposed? Is not just the people that got refunds. It sucks that Whatnot didn't refund everyone. But come on, we can't let this shit happen. There's a lot of people that don't want it to. Anyway, back to this. We got information from Corndog. We're not going to forget about Corndog, who was able to dig up the original sales of the sports cards that were surrounding the trimmed Charizard. The Blastoise, the French Charizard that we still haven't seen images of. Again, everything that we're going to take a look at here, everything from this submission, I mean, anything that was submit from this individual, these individuals, PSA.gems, all very suspect. So, Corndog, what do you have for us? What did he have for us? He says the PSA.gems cert run goes beyond the 226-47832 that I initially thought. He stopped looking after it got to 226-47848. He says, although I couldn't find the sales of 814, 815, and 816, there are sales records of multiple PSA 10s being sold by PSA Gem. PSA.gems in 2013 through 2015. There were more than 10 of one of these cards. So yes, we got sports card shit leaking into Pokemon once again. Again, where there's money, there was more in sports back in the day. And even some of this stuff, again, not very expensive. But if it takes them all of a few seconds to lop some shit off of this thing to make it more valuable, they were probably going to do it. I asked about the one card break at the top end of these cert numbers. There was like one space missing, and I figured maybe that was like where the next submission started, but it wasn't. It was probably all the same submission. And Corndog thinks that it might have been the card, a card from the submission that was not graded. Maybe 833 that was missing was altered and PSA caught it at the time, or some kind of a no grade scenario. I don't know whether it was trimmed, what it was exactly. We might not know. We might not ever know. I'm sure PSA probably has a record of this. So yes, we have to be very concerned with everything from the entire submission. And if I was PSA, again, this is hypothetical. I'm not PSA. I don't work for PSA. They can do what they want with my opinion. That's all it is. Even though it would be extremely costly, all of these cards should be flagged and retrieved for review. As we've seen, it can potentially get more expensive for them if they don't do anything about it. If they just sit on their hands and wait for the cards to go up in value. I mean, there's instances like after the pandemic where stuff is maybe dropping. Not saying whether or not they're sitting on it, they're waiting on it so that maybe some lower sales can happen and they don't have to pay out as much money because it's only based on the last sale that occurred. So with the Charizard, we're looking at an example with something that was under $10,000, and then with enough time ended up being multiple hundreds of thousands. I'm sure they aren't excited to pay out on altered or fake cards, but dealing with it earlier is probably in their best interest. Not to mention the whole hit to the reputation. Now, I'm not going to directly blame them for stuff sneaking through, stuff getting in. Their process clearly should have been better. If that Charizard was even laid against another card, they would have been able to tell that it was trimmed, that the bottom was trimmed off of it. But again, maybe back in that day, they just didn't give a shit. It was like, who cares? It's just a Pokemon card, right? Well, again, it was much more expensive than the rest of the stuff on this submission that we're looking at here. So we have 813. If you have anything in and around these cert numbers, you probably are in for a bad time. Again, here is the French Charizard, first edition, mint 9. I don't know what that goes for off the top of my head, but not cheap. Don't know where that ended up. Couldn't find any record of it. We have the Blastoise that we were a little bit suspect of the right-hand side of it. Recently sold for $31,975. Oochie doochie, that hurts. And yes, the right side looks sketchy. I wanted to give it the benefit of the doubt, like maybe it's just a sketchy side on it. But now knowing who submitted it, I find it hard to believe that, I mean, again, this is something that they should retrieve, do their best to retrieve, find out. You're going to have to take out the caliper, not the BGS ruler or whatever the hell the ex-employee was talking about. Please, for love, them thinking that they could measure any of this shit with a ruler. Like, you're going to see it with your naked eye way before you can measure it with a standard ruler that you took out of your pencil case from grade 3. Not to mention the fact that they could just have like a mold or a little frame that would show that it's not the right size. Drastically off. So we have the Charizard here. Again, I'm going to say I am almost certain that this bad boy is chopped off on the bottom. Now that we have even more information on it. We have the Beta Nightmare. Don't know if this is altered, but again, it wouldn't surprise me if it was. And based on the articles that we're going to take a look at of the people who submit this, not only would I be looking for centering, but you should also be looking for inking or anything else of the sort. They weren't just chopping stuff. They were doing a whole lot else. We have the Peyton Manning here. We're getting a little bit more expensive here in the $1,450 range. Again, all from the same submitter. And then I don't know if we'll ever see these Garbage Pail Kids stickers turn up, but it wouldn't surprise me if these bad boys are cut. I don't know how that works, what the centering is exactly. Here's our 833 that had we're sorry, this cert number provided was not found. So again, this could have been something that was given out to give the no holder label or whatever the hell. I don't know if they were doing that back at that point in time. Someone needs to catalog this stuff. Like all the different cases, all the different like process and everything else. It's, again, a lot of that is probably lost to time at this point. But regardless, we have the scribble over error, Bill Ripken, the one that says fuckface on the bottom of the bat. But then they kind of, the company decided Fleer decided they were going to cover it up. It was like an oopsie doopsie. I don't know how someone prints this on a card and doesn't realize that, but maybe they didn't think it was maybe they thought it was funny. Maybe they thought, regardless, it became an iconic card. But yeah, we have another 10. Sick nasty. And guess what? Guess who it was again? All the same submission, PSA.gems. PSA.gems. Here we go. Marvin Harrison. PSA Gems. So here we have it. We're gonna go back onto Blowout here. Oh, we're gonna have to center ourselves. There we go. The format for the Blowout forums could use an update. It seems like it's a weird, different perspective than everything else, but it's probably just due to the age. It's been around for a while. These guys have been around for a while. Again, 312, just insane documentation and research that's done by these guys, the Boda dudes. If we take a look at the list of eBay accounts of known card trimmers and their agents, we scroll down a little bit, we see PSA.gems. And who might that be? Could it be Kevin Burge and Keith Koenig? My goodness, it might be. Right there on the list. Very high up on the list, regardless. Pretty wild to see. And it shouldn't surprise anyone that there is a Sports Card Radio article about it. Let's get this over here to the side so we can read it. We can take a look here. Kevin Burge, pretty sick little mugshot there. What do we got? We got, I think it is that. I think it might actually be a mugshot, as we'll see. What do we got here? When it comes to being a sports card scammer, again, this is all according to Sports Card Radio, their article on their website. So do reference them. Do check them out. If you're looking at sports card news, if you want some honest, upfront sports card news and or coverage on sports card fraud, you might want to go check them out. I know they do a live every Thursday, so the day that this is coming out, they'll be live later on. I would imagine that they'll probably mention some of this stuff. They've covered this stuff before. And again, it's weird. It's weird how we're seeing a lot of this sports card stuff. I've learned so much about sports card stuff, mostly due to the fact that we have sports card people that kind of shift their way into Pokemon, especially during the pandemic when all of the extra money was there, when the money in Pokemon became a thing. You saw a lot more of this stuff. But I mean, even back then, even 2014, there was still money in Pokemon. There was still money in cutting the bottom off of Charizard. All right. When it comes to being a sports card scammer, Kevin Burge can do it all. The Mooresville, North Carolina dealer has been accused of forging autographs, faking patch cards, and trimming cards as far back as 2003. So this is like when you're getting into multiple different instances of what's going on here with the alteration. Those cards, there's no way. Like centering, when you lop off a big chunk of a Charizard on the bottom, I would say a big chunk, it's a sliver, but it's a big enough chunk that it's visible to the naked eye that you're like, what the hell is missing off of this card? These need to go back to PSA. They need to do a thorough actual evaluation of what's inside that case. And even if it costs them money, they need to take care of it. That's what they say that their PSA guarantee is for. They need to do it. If they need to take action against the people that are submitting these things through them, then they can do so. Very different case. We're like somebody trying to point out fraud and bad stuff going on in the hobby probably shouldn't face any legal action. But somebody that is actually ripping people off, committing fraud by altering cards and selling them as, a better conditioned copy of what they actually are. For anyone that isn't aware, that isn't familiar with it, the higher the condition, the more it sells for. Now, people will fake that condition. They will alter the card to make it look like it's in better condition and sell it under the impression that it is the real deal, that it is an unaltered, just perfect specimen, or as perfect as possible specimen, to get as much money out of it as possible. In addition to the card doctoring, Burge has 35 documented criminal arrests or citations. Jesus, you have to be really going out of your way to be arrested. And I don't, should there be a cutoff for like how many times you can get arrested or cited? Burge is suspected of trimming this 1993 Upper Deck SP Derek Jeter rookie card that sold for $73,000 by PWCC. So that's the thing too. No, the auction companies, they should absolutely be taking action. If they're warned about something, if someone says, hey, that thing's trimmed, they should not be selling it. It shouldn't just be a blind free pass to sell something. If they're made aware of the fact and are shown proof that this thing is altered, they should be working with at this point in time, PWCC is probably not working with PSA all that closely. Maybe they are now that ownership has changed. I'm not really sure on the behind the scenes action going on there. But if they're warned of something, if they're shown before and after pictures, 312, make some nice posts and shows, hey, here's the piece of card that no longer exists, that is no longer part of that card, it was trimmed, then yes, they should pull the auction. They need to work together with the grading companies, ideally, in an ideal world. And then that needs to be sent back to the grading company. It needs to be evaluated, and it needs to be resolved. If you're going to take money as a grading company to grade these things, and you fuck up, you don't do your job, regardless of how bad the actors are. If it's Kevin Burge sending you trimmed cards, you're still responsible for authenticating those and being able to tell people whether they're real or not. Otherwise, you shouldn't exist. What's the point? What are people paying you for? And don't say a fucking plastic case. A 2003, 2004 authentic LeBron James. I think that's supposed to say SP. Maybe a little typo there. There are a litany of complaints on various sports card forums about Burge, including Beckett, Freedom Cardboard, Collector's Universe, and Blowout, chronicling the scams. Used a variety of eBay names over the years and also goes by the business name Pristine Sports Collectibles. Yeah, are we noticing the trend here? We go back to the list. You see the name? Oh, damn it! See the name changes here? See all these name changes? Does that remind anyone of anyone else? You shouldn't have to change your name that many times. And if you're doing honest business, you don't want to, in my opinion. Why would you change your name a bunch of times, lose your brand recognition and everything that you built up, your reputation, if it exists? Why would you do that? And why would a grading company not want to mention your name? Could it be that if you're banned by their competition? So shame on that as well. Shame on all the little stuff that goes on in the background. And you know, I will gladly praise auction companies, grading companies, whatever they're doing. If they're doing everything that they can in their power to do the right thing, and they get one pulled over on them, as long as they're doing it in an honest way. If they're trying to hide stuff, if they're not deactivating stuff, I'm going to give them shit for it. So here we have all the different instances of usernames and everything else. The only thing longer than Burge's rap sheet in the sports card world is his actual arrest record. Holy moly. We got assault with a deadly weapon, driving while impaired, urinate in public, driving while impaired, disorderly conduct, public building, second-degree trespass, assault by strangulation, child abuse, Jesus, violation of domestic violence PO. All right, so, and again, here we have like industry summits, like with Beckett and anything else. Like, okay, here's the thing. If you want to support someone, if you want to have someone invited to your events or anything else, sure. Just know, as that company, as that entity, as that event, know who you're inviting. And no, this is not like, oh, you should have been able to predict the future and know that this person was going to be altering cards and scamming people and whatever. This is like if something already comes out, make sure you cover it. So here we have a nice little picture here. We might have a delivery at the door, so we're going to pause the recording real quick. All right, a little delivery action. Now, back to where we were. I forget where we were. The card industry trimmers and scammers stick together. Also listed as a Beckett Industry Summit attendee is Keith Koenig. Does this sound familiar? One of the boys. Probably behind the submission with the Charizard in it. An associate of Burge, Koenig has been known to buy cards for Burge, who then trims them. Both Koenig and Burge have a connection with known card trimmer Stephen Tormolin. So we got at a large sports card show, the trimmers will often be seen together. Oh my goodness. We got Burge on the left, our boy with the jillion arrests, Vinny Ho, and Koenig on the right at the Cleveland National, hanging out, being boys. Ho was found selling 2 trimmed cards using 2 different eBay accounts, AvSports888 and Tonka Bear Bronze 23. A forum user commented on the image of the card trimmers, saying they look like a Dollar Tree cardboard version of The Hangover. They look like something. And guys, I hope this makes sense. Hopefully more people come to realize the fact that it is important to call this stuff out. And for all the people that are like, Rattle, mind your own business. It's not your cards. You didn't get scammed. Well, guess what? I want to make sure as few people. I can't protect everyone. Blowout can't protect everyone. Sports Card Radio can't protect everyone. But even just making that information available to prevent it happening more in the future, to prevent people and let people know that there's a good chance that someone's going to say something. Someone's going to point it out. If you start ripping people off, if you start altering cards, there's gonna be a video, there might be an article, there might be people talking about it, posting about it, and people should be allowed to post about it. And that's the thing too. People are like, mind your own business. What are you doing? Until it happens to them. Until that, what happens if you save up your money, you save up all your money, or you trade a large part, maybe your entire collection for that Charizard, and you find out it's trimmed. Maybe PSA does something, maybe they don't. Then what? Then do you care? Then do you want this content to be made? Let that sink in. Yeah. I know a lot of the people that have been impacted by Pokemon scammers that I've talked to, they have a whole new appreciation for it. And that's the thing. Maybe that's what it takes for some people to realize, like, hey, it's important what we're doing here. It's important to share this information with as many people as possible. It's never going to reach everyone. There's always going to be somebody that's going to get ripped off by someone else. But we're going to do our best. We're going to clean it up. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining the Discord. See you next time. Bye.